Hi everybody, it's Rebecca. Welcome back to my channel, Crafting Journey with Rebecca. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. This is FlossTube number 2. In the first FlossTube, we talked about stitching as a beginner. So I had some questions. So the first question was, someone wanted to know if they needed a hoop. I've used them both. That's why I have one. And this is okay. You can certainly use a hoop if you'd like to. You don't have to use a hoop at all if you don't want to, but your stitches are going to be more even if you use some kind of device. Now, what I like are these. I will put a link in the description. They're called Q Snaps. I will put a link in the description to where they are sold on Amazon. I don't know if you can find them somewhere else cheaper, but they come in different sizes. This is the 8-inch. And I also have I think this is 14 or 11. I think it's maybe 11-inch. But what I'm going to do for my project, since I've got a larger project, this is really for a small to medium sized project. Maybe the person that asked me about this is doing a charted project. So this may be good for that. But what I'm going to do, because they come apart, we're going to, it's not easy to do. Oh, look, my shirt. I forgot to show you guys. It says, oh, you can't see. I can't adult today. Yeah, but I did go to work and I was adulting today. So these come apart. Not easily, but they do come apart. So, and I have to credit my friend Marissa, oh my God, what am I thinking? There's so many Marissas, Michelle's, you know. So Marissa, the Crafty Heifer, showed me this little trick here. I don't think I needed to take it all the way apart, but anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 ends of this and 2 ends of this, perhaps. Yeah, so I'm going to put this here like this, perhaps. Oh my goodness. That's tight. That's a tight fit, but yes. Okay. And then I'm going to put, this is like a puzzle. A shorter end here. Now, if you order different sizes, you can just make it sort of any size you want. I think I need a hammer. Anyway, you get the idea. So, we're going to do this here. Goodness gravy. I don't know if you saw the other night on J. Rob's channel, I was trying to open a jar of wax, and I was having a hell of a time. Good God. So, I don't know, I think it's just me. Okay, so you're going to end up with, I'm going to end up with this size for my project. And my project, I needed 18 by 18 for the project that I'm going to be working on, but, and this is 18 by 24, but so I want to work on a small part of it at a time, so this should do the trick. Now, so it's really up to you. You might want to try this first. It's your choice. A lot of people do prefer these. Now, what the heck am I going to do with that stuff? I don't know. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about was needles. I think in the last segment, the first segment, I was talking about an embroidery needle. Please do not buy embroidery needles. And if you did, I'm so sorry. You want to buy a cross stitch needle. It's either going to say a cross stitch or tapestry. And the reason is they will have a blunt end to them. So this Band-Aid is coming off, so let me just, I sliced my thumb a little bit the other day, so, and I just went to the gym, so my Band-Aid's a little damp. Anyway, I start bleeding all over objects. So anyway, make sure that you got cross stitch needles, and on the back, it will say, you want to look at it, and it'll say blunt point. And this one is for use with 11 or 14 count fabric. And it was, Tootsie's barking at something. Come on. It was, there we go. So this is a 24 needle. And at the front, on the bottom, you'll see it says size. Come on, focus. Well, you might have to take my word for it. It doesn't want to focus, come on. Anyway, that says size 24. So look there. Now, if you're doing an 18 or larger, you're going to want a different needle. So the size, and the size has to do with the size of the eye of the needle. So this is a 24. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but it has to do with the size of the eye. And I prefer working on 14 counts. So I've got the size 24 needle. So that's just a little bit about needles. So another thing that I wanted to show you, let me talk to you a little bit about preparing your fabric. This is one that this is the one that I started for Christmas, and I'm gonna get back to it, I promise. This is the snowman, and he's upside down. Oh no, he's not. It's just a snowman that I started, and as you can see, I had this on the round holder. There's a better name for it, but I had this on there. Goodness. So what I did to prepare this fabric is what will happen. I've used masking tape. Washi tape will not work. So I've tried it, it doesn't work. So you have to use masking tape. And I'm going to do that with my project here, but I want to go to the dollar store and pick out some cool colored, masking tape like that's where I got this. So the reason you want to do that is you can see the edges. Those will start to fray the more you handle the fabric. You see the edges there? Yeah, they will start to fray. So to keep them from fraying, you want to prepare your fabric. No matter where you got, whether you're doing a chart or you bought the fabric or, whatever way, you want to prepare it. So if you're doing this, if you're doing the beginner, you want to, you're going to see that that's probably going to start to fray on the edges. Or you're not going to see it. My camera is being very persnickety today. Okay, but so you're going to want to prepare that. So now we'll talk about thread in a minute. In the project, but let me tell you where I'm at. So I thank you so much to a very good friend of mine, again, Marissa. She's really super into cross stitch right now, and she texted me and she said, oh my god, look what I found. So she found a stitch along, which is actually, it's, how I love mysteries, like mystery diamond painting is my thing. I just love it. So this stitch along, you had to pay $15, and it's a mystery. Like once every 2 weeks, this person releases, chapters of the pattern. So I've got, I paid the $15. It's a PDF download. I will put a link down in the description. There's a Facebook group where you can follow along, and everybody, you can see that everybody's like doing it on different fabric, different sizes. It's pretty cool. So I'll put the link down in the description if you would like to join the stitch along. I don't think it's terribly difficult. I don't know what the end result will be because I don't know. It's a mystery, which is kind of cool. So thank you to Marissa for showing that to me. So it was recommending that you do it on, it didn't say, it didn't recommend the size fabric. I chose to do it on 14. So if you do it on 14, like I said, it was an 18 by 18 fabric. I ordered 18 by 24 because I wanted this blue that was recommended. It's a very light blue. And you can barely tell, but there's white. So you can see that's like a sky blue. So what I have done is I have taken this, it's called sulky thread. And this is like, it's so fine, it's like your hair. It's very difficult to work with, but you can do it. So what I did was I wanted to grid the fabric. You can buy fabric that is pre-gridded, and the grids will, once you wash it, after you cross stitch, the grids will go away. But I chose to do the thread. So I found the middle of my fabric and I just started it last night gridding this fabric. So I'm probably going to grid maybe around the center and then go ahead and start the pattern. Now, a couple of things about patterns. Yes, if you have a chart and you bought one of those kits, they're okay. You know, they're fine. Look, so you can see this is already starting to fray. See the thread there? I got to get something on here, so I've got to go and buy some masking tape, probably today, because I want to work on that. So I started to talk about charts. To me, I find them a little bit more difficult. I'd rather have a counted cross-stitch pattern. And I'll tell you why. Because there are two apps now. One is Goodreader if you have an Apple product, and the other one is PatternKeeper. Now, PatternKeeper is in beta, so it does not support every person that makes patterns. And the person that made this mystery pattern, PatternKeeper does not support that company. I think in the future they will add more people onto there. PatternKeeper does support Heaven and Earth design. So, and I have bought a couple of Heaven and Earth design cross stitch patterns that I'm going to do in the future. So I will put them on PatternKeeper. But on your Apple product, you can get a product called Goodreader. Honestly, I don't remember if it costs anything. If it did, it was like $5. But here is the Goodreader. So when you open it, this is what you're going to see. And you see I've got Heaven and Earth Designs in there. And where it says Satsuma, S-A-T-S-U-M-A, that's the stitch along. So I've already downloaded that into the Goodreader. So when you open that up, there's the pattern. It's Alice in Wonderland, of course, you know me. And there is chapter 1 of the pattern. So I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see it. See where those red lines meet in the middle? That is the middle of your fabric. So I have gridded on my fabric this portion. In fact, I don't know if I need to grid anything else. I could probably go ahead and start. So I've already gridded like this area of, I can't do it because I can't see what I'm doing. Anyway, that area of the pattern. So I may go ahead and start without gridding anymore. Now gridding is up to you. If you grid something like I've done, then you've only got to count to 10. Otherwise, with counted cross stitch, you may have to count higher than that. So like I said, I will probably go ahead and start that in this area that I've already gridded. And I will show that to you next week after I start. So now let's go to the beginner pattern. And that is on this little guy here. And next week we'll put some masking tape on the edges. Now what did I do with, okay, here is the pattern. Now this is the problem with kits or charts, you know, the pre-kits. So you can't download anything. You've got to follow this pattern here. And if you bought a larger kit, it's probably going to be a large pattern, and sometimes it's difficult to follow. And what I used to do back in the old days, I would take a marker and I would mark out what I'd already done, with the marker so I could see where I had already completed the chart. But what you want to do to start is you want to find the middle of your fabric. So this has been folded in two. So you can see right here is the middle of my fabric. It doesn't have to be exact because they're leaving some edges, some margin on the edges. In my project, I left a 3-inch margin all the way around because you're going to want to frame it. So you're going to want to find the middle of your pattern here. Now on these charts, you're going to, if you look closely, you'll see here, up here, right there, there's a dot, and then over here is a dot. And if you follow that to the middle, if you follow those two lines to the middle, it's going to be somewhere in here. So you're going to be able to go ahead and start stitching in this area. So if you look up that symbol there in the middle, let's go. And you're not gonna need to grid this because it's a very small project. So we're gonna look for that symbol. And you guys are diamond painters, or maybe you're not. You'll know what that symbol is. Where's my chart? Where's the chart? Holy moly, there's no chart? Yes, there is. Oh, okay. Oh, it's so small I didn't see it. Okay, so that is purple. So I did not separate these out. So there's 3 different purples here. This is the other reason I don't like kits, because this is the yarn that you get. This is and it's usually a mess. So you have to separate it all out and try to find some way to keep it. What I do, okay, so this is one of the purples here. This is one of the purples here. There's 3 different ones. There's a light, okay, let's see. There is a light purple, regular purple, and dark purple. So this is the dark purple. And so one of these is the light purple. That's this one. Okay, so this is the purple. So one of the things I did on my stitch along was I went ahead and I put all of my thread into the floss container. So if you didn't buy a chart and you're just buying thread, you know, with a chart, maybe have an inner design. One second, I have. So the thread comes like this. And on the bottom, you'll see the number, the DMC number of the thread. So I have gone ahead and bobbinated them all. I have put them on bobbins. Now there are 4 or 5 or 6 other ways you can store your thread. There's some really cool ways. There was one that I was super interested in. It's super pricey, but sold out in any variation, like small kit, large kit. I mean, it's all sold out. But eventually I would like to go to that. But this is the bobbin that we're going to put. It's a small piece of plastic. And what I do is I take a permanent marker and I will put, as you can see, the DMC number in the middle. So you can see all the DMC numbers there, and I have them in order. And you can do the same thing with the threads here. If you have those kits, you can buy some bobbins and you can just wind it around here and keep it in a container. There's some other ways that you can keep it. You can buy those paper cards and just separate them all out and put them on the cards. But we're going to put this onto here in a minute. The first thing I want to show you, if you're putting it onto a bobbin from the skein, some good things to know are that there are 2 ends to the skein. You'll see the end down here, right here. You'll see this end here. There's also an end up here. It's probably under this other label. So when you're putting this on the bobbin, did I bring my pen in here? I did not. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so here's my permanent marker. I'm going to write, this is 209, so I'm going to write here 209. It dries pretty quickly. So what you're going to want to do if you have this is you're going to want to make sure that you're doing this with the number side down, because you're going to want to pull your thread from this end here. It's just like yarn, you have two different sides that you can pull from. So you just take this off like this, and you kind of open it up. Make sure you get, sometimes it's tricky. So open it up. I put it on my hand, on my wrist, and down here is the thread that we want to grab. So you're going to put that. It has these two little slices there. There. Sorry. I'm doing good with the camera today. So you put that through the one slice. And if you do it this way, it goes pretty quickly. Don't, some people will say, oh, just drop it on the floor. And if you drop it on the floor, I would not recommend that. It's going to get all tangled. I did that. I was sorry. I ended up like throwing half of the skein away because it was so tangled. So, of course, this is going to, I didn't get it exact, which, of course, that happens. So let me fix that. Okay, there. So you just wind that around, and it goes really quickly. I did all this probably in a couple hours last night while I was watching TV, you know, just watching The Voice, watching the news, and see, it just comes right off your wrist, and then it's not getting all tangled up. And I would do the same thing for whatever the yarn is that's coming in your kit. So here, it goes pretty quickly. See how easy that's coming off my wrist? And when you get to the other end, you just put that through the other slice there. Now you put it in your container. So I like to put them in order. Yes, I'm that person. I gotta have them all in order. Now this doesn't actually go with the stitch along kit, this one that I just did for demonstration, but you know, some of these, you see all of this thread, some of this you may only use a very tiny bit of it, and you would have it for the next time. Okay, so if you've got this, it came in your kit like this here. So you could even, it doesn't have a number associated with it. So you can just say, this was purple, right? Purple. Purple. So I wrote P-U-R-P on there. Now the first thing you're going to want to do, because we're going to want to start stitching, and this is already the length that you want. When you're going off of the bobbin, what you should do is measure to the elbow if you're going to use 2 strands, and you need to cross stitch in 2 strands, but I like to do 1 strand and then just double it over. So if you're going to do that, then you want to come around your elbow, my big fat elbow, and go back up, which is what they've done. I don't know if you can see that. See, so I'm just going to use 1 strand up here, and this has 6 strands. So you see this here, you just kind of want to play with it. You'll see there are 6 strands there. So you're going to want to grab a hold, sure, of one of those strands. Now the best way to do this is to take that and just keep holding on with your two fingers and pull that one strand. And then the rest will just fall down, no tangling. So if this is your chart, you take the rest of your thread and then you can wrap it around your bobbin. So I'm just gonna put that off to the side because that's the kit. So now you've got this one strand and you're gonna want to double it over. Like this. And I go down to where the loop is. It's easier to thread the needle at the loop if I can find my needle. Okay, we have the needle. Now I take this end. I don't know if I can show you that that close. And I put it through, and this is the end that has the loop. Yeah, I will put that through here. Sure you will, Rebecca. I made it sound so simple, didn't I? I'm blind as a bat. And believe it or not, it is actually easier to do it on the loop side. And then just pull it through. And I'll tell you why I do the one strand instead of the two. So now we grab our pattern, our thread, and we said we're going to start in the middle. So we're going to put this through the middle, or thereabouts. Yeah, right there. So I've found the middle of my pattern. I'm going to pull that needle through, and before it comes all the way through, because you still got your loop down here, I'm going to go from the bottom left to the top right hole. I'm going to pull that needle through. Now turn your fabric over, pull it a little bit, and then go through that loop with the needle like this, and then pull it. And then you have started your stitch. Now, this is the center of the pattern. So now if you look at the center of your pattern here, you're going to want to go 3 one way and 3 the other. So let's go 3 one way. Okay, so we've got 1, and I do it all one way first. So we go here, bottom left, top right, and you just pull it through. So that's your second one. Then again, so now we've gone 3 one way, and now we're going to come back and we're going to go bottom right. We're just going to go straight down to that bottom right hole. Of course we are, can't see it. This is why I use 14 count thread. If it was any smaller, I would not be able to see it. So you just pull that through, and then you're going to go to the top left, and you have your first cross stitch. And we're going to focus. There it is. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly do the other two. It's the same thing. When you go one way, you're going bottom left to top right. When you're coming back, you're going bottom right to top left. So I've got my 3 this way, and it's much quicker on this little thing. It's a little slower when you got a larger fabric. So So I've done my 3. And every now and then when you've got this thread, you're going to want to let the thread, and this is one of the issues when you have it doubled over, you're going to want to straighten it, or it's going to get tangled up on you. And sometimes you'll just want to, just drop your needle and let it spin so that it's not going to get tangled up on you. Didn't do it that much then. So now I have the 3 cross stitches going to the right here. Now I need 3 more going to the left to make that 1 row of this color. Now, please, if you have any questions when you get, if you get this far, please leave them in the comments. I will answer them to the best of my ability. I am learning all these little nuances as I go. Like I said, I've cross-stitched before, but there's so much to learn, especially when you're learning full coverage, which is what I'm trying to learn. But hopefully I'm passing on some things to you guys that you'll be able to, little tips that you'll be able to use on your projects as well. So when I finish this, I will show you. If you need me to repeat any of the steps that I've talked about, also let me know that, because I'm happy to do that. So now we've got the 6 of that color that we need in the middle of the fabric. 6 cross stitches. So then what I do is I will use you could use a cover minder or a needle holder, the same thing. I'm using my little gnome one. Put that on the fabric like that, and you can just lay your needle on there. Maybe the dog's barking and you gotta go feed him dinner. And then the next time you come back, you can work on your project. But let me show you where we are on the pattern and what you're going to want to do if you're working from like a paper like this. What we did, if you look in the center there, we did like the first 6 rows of that color, which is pretty much in the center. It is. So then you can either come up and do the 3 and the 2 of that color, or you just go down and do the other rows of 6. So that is where I'm going to leave you off today. I'm going to work on my project after I go get some masking tape, because it's already starting to unravel. And I will see you guys in my next video. So I look forward to your comments, your questions, and I hope you all have a great day. So take care.